Hey there, it's me again, Marcus from horntools. Welcome back to our video series on winches. Today I want to talk about working safely with a winch and explain what you need to keep in mind. Let's start with the topic of safe working. The first thing for me when working with a winch is always to put on gloves. First of all, it's nice not to always get your hands dirty, and secondly, if the rope has already been used, there might still be dirt or something else in it, and if the rope slips through your hands, it's easy to get hurt. So always put on gloves and pay attention to your own safety. Let's assume I've gotten my chimney stuck and now I want to pull myself out using that tree over there. For that, we'll do a simple pull with the winch. I'll set it up now and explain step by step what to watch out for, what's important for safety, and how you can best pull yourself out. First of all, we start by unspooling the winch cable to the length we need. It's important here to use the free spool so we don't heat up the winch motor beforehand. When the free spool is engaged, I can simply pull the cable out by hand. To do a simple recovery, we'll use a tree strap and a soft shackle. We always use the tree strap to protect nature as much as possible. Driving off-road is usually already an intrusion into nature, so we try to avoid anything else that could cause damage to the environment. We simply take the durable and robust tree strap and carefully wrap it securely around the sturdy tree. Then, we retrieve our incredibly strong and flexible soft shackle. Finally, we meticulously connect all the components together here, ensuring a safe and reliable attachment. For this particular step, we carefully loosen the soft shackle a little bit to make the process of threading it significantly easier, and then we simply pull the knot completely through the loop, ensuring a secure and proper fit. It's always a bit tricky at first. But once you've used the soft shackle once or twice, it becomes pretty easy. The soft shackle tightens itself as soon as there's a load on it, making the whole setup secure. We can simply hook the winch hook into the soft shackle. Please avoid threading the rope through like this and then hooking it in. Doing so weakens your rope and could potentially cause it to snap. It's also important to always make sure the latch is completely closed, so the rope can't come loose when you apply tension. So now we're basically ready to start winching. To do this, simply put the gear back in so the winch can pull later. Turn on the disconnect switch, the main disconnect switch, so the winch gets power, and then, very important, when winching, always keep the car's engine running so the battery up front keeps getting charged. There's nothing more annoying than forgetting that, pulling yourself out, getting back in the car, wanting to drive off, and the battery's dead. Then you're right back where you started. We use our wireless remote control. Since I'm out here alone today, it gives me a better overview. I can always keep an eye on what my cable is doing up front and maybe steer a bit through the window if needed. First, we start the vehicle's engine so that the battery stays charged. Some of you have probably already seen that the hood is opened during winching operations. This is done to provide safety in case the cable snaps, which is especially important with steel cables. If the hood is open and the cable breaks, it can't whip into the windshield and injure me. With synthetic ropes, the risk is a bit lower because they don't snap back with such force. Since I'm out here alone today, I'll leave the hood closed, always keeping an eye on where my cable is running and what I'm doing at the moment. Personally, in situations like this, I always prefer to use the remote control, since I have to stay inside the vehicle. I also have to make sure my vehicle is secured so that if the cable snaps or something else happens, the car doesn't roll back. If I weren't in the car right now and the cable broke, my vehicle would just freely roll down the slope. Of course, here we have the advantage that we're on flat ground, so that's less likely to happen. But for safety reasons, you should always stay seated in the car or find another way to secure the vehicle from rolling away, like using wheel chocks, for example. That way, you can also work around the vehicle a bit from the outside. But in this case, it's perfectly fine to work from inside and use the remote control. To winch safely, of course, we need to keep the engine running, put the car in neutral, and release the handbrake. Then we can actually start tightening the cable. From inside the vehicle, We can easily watch how the cable slowly tightens. And as soon as there's tension, we always start winching in short intervals to see what happens. If something unexpected happens, I can always step on the brake, secure the car with the handbrake, and then go take a look. A big point when it comes to working safely is that I regularly check how my cable is behaving on the winch. Since I'm pulling at a slight angle now, there's a high chance that my cable will wind up unevenly on one side. If I also have a winch with a lot of cable on it, it can happen that, with uneven winding, I end up damaging or even destroying my own winch. That's why you should always keep an eye on what's happening right in front of your vehicle. We're lucky here that we're not under a huge load, since we're on level ground. So here, I could simply adjust the cable by hand to make sure it winds more evenly to the side. When I'm off-road, though, things look a bit different. There, I might need to use the steering to help pull straight, or change the anchor point, maybe pick a different tree on the other side and use that as the anchor so that I get a nice, even distribution of the cable again. A little tip that I forgot to mention earlier when unspooling the winch cable. What I always do with my winch cables is mark the last layer on the cable with colored tape, so I can see when I need to stop unspooling the cable. If I unwind the cable completely now, you can imagine how much fun it is with a winch system to try and thread the cable back in. When you have a colored marking on the cable, you just know, up to this point and no further. So, now I've finished my recovery. The car is ready to drive again, and I have to put everything back together. In this case, here's a little tip. Just leave the cable loose, unwind it a bit more to check if there's any damage to the cable. Of course, if you're pulling at full load, it can happen that you overload your cable. You'll notice this simply by the fact that the cable gets thinner at the points where it was overloaded. If you notice something like this, please take the cable out of service. You no longer know what the cable can handle or if it will help you in your next recovery. If you get stuck somewhere and think, I have a winch, I can pull myself out, but then you unwind the cable and it snaps while pulling, that's really annoying. So please check the cable beforehand and always make sure that everything is in good condition and everything is okay. After using all the parts, just clean them again at home and check everything. Then you can pack it away again and always be sure that you have a working recovery kit and a functioning winch with you. Alright, that's it for the first topic. In the next video, we'll do a recovery using the snatch block and also show you how to double the pulling power of your winch. I hope you'll tune in again. See you then.